Say you're building an ASP.NET Core app. Where do you host it? Most people default to Azure, but is that really the best place to host it? What if I told you there are better hosting providers out there? Cheaper, faster, and maybe even better for your ASP.NET Core apps. Hosting providers that don't charge a kidney per month with a user interface that doesn't max out your browser's memory.
It's true.
Let's take a look at some alternatives to Azure. It doesn't hurt to browse around, does it? I wanted every option on this list to have GitHub deploys without any additional setup. So while we're going to look at some VPS options at the end, the core chunk of this video will focus on user-friendly, hassle-free hosting options, or what I like to call tier 2 providers, meaning tier 2 providers on top of AWS, Azure, GCP. All right, we're going to get render out of the way first. About 4 years ago, I was on an exploratory call with the founder of this company, and he pitched their hosting solution really well, sold me. Although we ended up not going with render then, I did end up hosting my own apps on there. They were small back then. Not that there's anything wrong with small. Now, in 2025, render is not where I'd hoped it would be back then. While their offering has grown in scope, apparently the quality is not all there. Stability and cost is a concern. That said, if you're just experimenting and don't want to have to deal with infrastructure at all, render is an option. You can run your ASP.NET Core application on a web service, connect to their managed Postgres, run cron jobs, and even host static sites for free, same as Cloudflare Pages, for example. Hosting .NET on render is fairly straightforward. You just need to have a Docker file in the root of your GitHub repository, hook it up to their web service, and click deploy. That's it. They take care of the build, SSL certificates, and even scaling if you need to do that. But if you want an awesome developer experience and more control over your infrastructure, let's check out Railway. Ever heard of Heroku? Well, Railway is like Heroku's younger, cooler sibling. It has all the hosting related features that render has, but it's more dev friendly. It's like Lego. Do you like Lego? I love Lego. You build your infrastructure on a canvas and connect the pieces together. Just like render, they have GitHub deploys, SSL certificates, auto scaling, and private networking. There's also fairly mature deployment template marketplace, which you can use to deploy infrastructure literally with one click.
Magic.
I have a fair amount of content on Railway, so if it strikes your fancy, feel free to peruse my channel. And I linked a video up here, so you can take a look at that. But what if you want more power, more global reach? Well, for that, there's Fly.io, where render and Railway are kind of limited in their deployment regions. Fly.io prides itself on having data centers all over the world. The feature set is more similar to Railway's in that they offer you compute and disk storage, but they do recommend connecting your app to other services for things like managed databases, object storage, queues, and stuff like that. Fly.io has been around longer, so they do have more to offer in terms of, say, advanced features. Advanced networking, even a Kubernetes cluster, more fine-grained control over the machines running your app, and more stuff like that. So you get more control at Fly.io than you do at Railway and Render. One caveat here is that you cannot deploy directly from GitHub. You got to use GitHub Actions or Fly.io CLI to deploy. I would put Fly.io on the I don't mind getting my hands dirty with some YAML list. Render and Railway are a lot easier to deploy to, but they do abstract a lot of the functionality away from the user. It's a trade-off. I do, however, mind getting my hands dirty with YAML outside of work. So I haven't actually personally tried fly.io first, but it is an option. And people are saying it's really good. So maybe give it a try. But what if you want a CI/CD pipeline, hosting, and databases all in one? Well, that's where Northflank comes in. You've probably never heard of these guys. Honestly, neither have I. There are a few Reddit threads about them, but generally there's not a lot of info on the internet about Northflank. Well, looking at their website, there's quite a bit going on here. They build themselves as an end-to-end full-stack DevOps platform, just like the other options on this list. Build, run, release, scale, observe. Everything and the kitchen sink. One thing that sets them apart from the others is the ability to bring your own cloud. This can be useful, for example, if you've already bought in for, say, 3 years of VMs on Azure, but you still want to integrate with Northflank. Now, much like Fly.io, I have not used Northflank. In fact, just found out about them researching for this video, but it is an option. And they've been around for 5 years now, so take a look. All right. You might have never heard of Northflank, but I'm sure you've heard of DigitalOcean. These guys have been around for 13 or so years and were, in my humble opinion, the first kid on the block to popularize VPSs. Sure, AWS and Azure already existed, but it wasn't until DigitalOcean with its droplets that we were all like, hey, I can host it myself for $5. In 2020, just as the tier 2 provider bandwagon was taken off, DigitalOcean hopped on with its app platform. It's not much different from the competition. It also has GitHub deploys and Bitbucket, right? SSL certificates and custom domains, basically everything you'd expect. But the main thing that sets DigitalOcean apart from the competition on this list is that it's the old guard. It's been around. People know it. People use it. With DigitalOcean, you know what you're getting. And they're unlikely to be going anywhere. But maybe you don't want any of this managed stuff. Maybe you want to host it yourself for $5. Well, finally, let's talk about some VPS options. If you're looking for a deal on hosting, running a VPS is likely going to be your best bet. For anywhere from $5 to $10 per month, you can get started with a rudimentary VPS where you have full control, root access, and the ability to break everything yourself. DigitalOcean, Linode, Vultr, Hetzner, Hostinger, and Mooncube, but you never heard of that one. But of course, also AWS, Azure, GCP. All of these can host your .NET application, provided you install the necessary software. If that $5 is looking really good to you, you may consider using something like Coolify or Dogploy to make deployments less painful. It does take some setup and, of course, maintenance, but it is going to be the cheapest option. And, of course, the most nerdy, since you'll be using a terminal, SSHing in. But if you'd rather not spend your weekends debugging Nginx reverse proxies, installing and renewing your SSL certificates, and manually scaling when shopping holidays roll around, go with a managed service like Render, Railway, Fly, or Northflank. There are, of course, a lot more options than the ones I listed here. Amazon has a simplified version of their cloud offering called Lightsail, and of course, Elastic Beanstalk. Honestly, terrible name. The whole Elastic thing, come on. I didn't mention the OG, Heroku, because, well, let's be real, they're not really in the running since being bought. And of course, since this video is about .NET, things like Cloudflare and Vercel do not make the list either. So, what is the best hosting for ASP.NET? Here's how I see it. Best for simplicity, Render. Just don't call support. Best for developer experience and starting costs, Railway. Just don't scale too high. Best for global reach, Fly.io, if you're okay with writing your own GitHub Actions. Best platform nobody's ever heard of, Northflank, just Northflank. And best for full control, honestly, a VPS from anywhere you trust. Just be ready to roll up your sleeves. And I highly, highly recommend using something like Coolify or Dogploy. It does make VPSs a lot less stressful. Now, the big question is, where are you hosting your ASP.NET Core application? Azure? Is it Azure? I bet it is. So let me know. Drop a comment. If there's something I didn't mention, some better place to host, I want to know. Please tell me. Please tell me. And hey, if this video saved you money, time, or sanity, you know what to do. Until next time, take care.